last season on The Addams Family.
So it's my understanding there's going to be a presidential election.
Oh, how wonderful! Are you going to run?
Yes, I think so.
Oh!
Vote for John. Vote for John. Vote for me.
Vote
John.
for John. Thank you so much. Vote
Hey,
for John.
Are you John Adams?
Yeah.
I just want to say I'm sorry, man, about the whole.
Why?
Well, you're going up against like George F. and Washington, man, like Mr. American Dreamboat, leader of the Continental Army, total badass. Sorry, you going down, but I mean, good for you for running and everything. Like,
So I guess the best part of becoming president is
Adams.
Washington.
So I hear you're planning to run for the office of presidency. Adams.
Yes, I am. What's it to you?
Oh, nothing. I just find it funny that a man of your, stature would even try.
I beg your pardon.
It's my position.
I will bury you, old man.
Attention everyone, the final votes are in. Straight from the Electoral College, with a final voting count of 69 to 34, and no surprise here, 100% of the popular vote, the first president of our United States is, drumroll please, George Washington!
The office of vice president has proven menial and insignificant at best. Day to day, I get to play babysitter to the Senate. Okay, so first order of business is getting to see how the new leader of our country is going to be addressed. Any suggestions? No? Okay, well, I have some ideas of my own. His Majestic Overlord of the United States of America. No? Okay. The divine and holy ruler of these united colonies.
What?
No. His good and righteous magistrate of liberty and freedom in the land of the United States of America.
Hey, his rotundancy. Done now?
I beg your pardon.
His good and righteous magician of liberty or whatever the fudge it is, I don't care. But bro, you gotta calm down. Can't we just call him Mr. President or something? Yeah.
I like that. Nice and casual.
I will not stand to see the leader of our country be called simply Mr. President. And I also get to be latte boy to my boss, Mr. American Dreamboat, George F. in Washington.
I love being president.
Mr. President, I would state I really need you to...
I really need to sign this. I really need to see it. I really need to sign it to my transit meeting. I do not need to be on now. I'm simply a president. Yes! John, here you are. Here, I was thinking you could get me a double tall, non-fat, no white mocha. And if you would do it spiffy, that would be great because I'm 5 minutes late to my cabinet meeting and I simply must go. The fans, the fortune, you just can't deal with it all. Thank you, John.
I really need you to sign.
And now Thomas Jefferson, my good friend who has been traipsing around Paris for the past 4 years, is coming back for the first ever Secretary of State. He'll get to oversee a department which manages foreign affairs, and I'll meet with extremely important world leaders. Meanwhile, I get to...
John, hey, would you be a doll and run to the Continental Cafe and grab me and Henry some Liberty lattes real quick? So are you excited to see Thomas again?
Well, yes, I suppose. Well, I'm just worried that while he's been in France eating frog legs and caviar, he's just lost sight of the world. You know, our world.
John, you're being dramatic.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're literally being so dramatic right now, I can't.
Then don't.
Why are you this way?
What way?
This way.
Abigail, seriously?
John, seriously, this isn't about you.
You're right. It's not about me. It's about my frog-loving, card-carrying member of the French proletariat.
John, seriously, do you have that little faith in him? He's your friend. I'm sure a few years of overseas diplomacy haven't affected him in the slightest.
Adams, bonjour. Manfred, Sherry, how lovely to behold you both again. How has life in America treated you?
Thomas, are you alright?
I'm wonderful.
I see you've enjoyed your time in France.
Oh, hell yeah, man, it was lit. And I'm not just talking about the effigies.
Woo! Thomas, what an interesting cape you're wearing.
Oh, you like it? I know a guy who works out of a van behind the Notre Dame. He can make one of these like hotcakes. Want one?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
So, Thomas, dare I ask how France was?
Oh yeah, man. Let me. I gotta tell you something though. You gotta promise not to say anything to anybody, okay?
Promise.
All right. We have the potential for a global revolution.
Global? I thought it was just confined to France.
No, France is the hearth. But it could spread everywhere if we let it. And let me tell you, John, if you don't join the fire, you're going to burn.
Wait. You mean if I do join the fire, I'll burn?
No.
Well, wait, that doesn't make any sense. If I join the fire, become part of one, then I burn. To death, Thomas.
It's a metaphor! It's a metaphor.
No, it's not.
I think I know what the metaphor would be. I am French.
Thomas, no, you're not French.
Not by blood, but by bond. While I was in France, I had a revolution of my own. A spiritual revolution. I knew once I came back to America that my friends would have some trouble accepting me for who I had become. But did I expect this from my friend?
Oh, thank you, dear.
Thank you, Abigail. So you must tell me, how's the family?
Oh, how sweet of you to ask. They're doing wonderfully. JQ is finishing up his senior year at Harvard, studying law like his father. And our Nabby is quite smitten with this young man, Colonel Williams. Don't tell John, but I think if we play our cards right, we may have a wedding before the year is over.
No, not little Nabby. The little girl with the pigtails in her hair. Getting married.
Feel old yet, comrade?
Very. And what about Charles?
We don't really speak with Charles anymore.
Oh, why?
Let's just say dear Alexander's whiskey tax didn't just upset the distillers.
I don't understand.
Charles is trying out a new balanced diet where he holds a glass of beer in one hand and whiskey in the other.
He's a drunk, Thomas.
Oh.
But let's not dwell on the past. After all, it's you who've been in France these past few years. Tell us all of your fantastic stories.
Oh yes, my fantastic stories. Oh, where to begin? Well, as you would expect, I would be beside myself if I didn't tell you about the revolution in France. See, it's not just a regular revolution, it's an ideological one. The middle class is becoming acutely aware of its social importance, and it's violently grabbing at its basic human rights that have been taken away from it by the aristocracy. It has the potential to change the world, John.
Thomas, I don't think you fully understand. If it's able to change the world, then shouldn't it just be confined to France?
No, it shouldn't at all. And here's why. Hold this, please. It was a warm summer evening, and there was a presence of tension in the air. I was just leaving supper with a friend when I saw two young beggar boys, Samuel and his younger brother Timothy, whom I had seen at some beheadings before. Samuel was older, 21 perhaps. Timothy was barely 14. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the square dropped to a deadly tension. Sensing danger, Samuel warned his younger brother, "Tommy, quick, to the rose bushes!" Out of nowhere, there were gunshots, and I watched as both raced to their safety. Samuel kept yelling, "Faster, faster, Timothy! Don't look back! Keep running, keep running!" Timothy ran and ducked behind the protective thicket, but just as soon as he arrived, there was that fateful gunshot. Timothy turned and exclaimed while panting, "We made it! We made it, Samuel! But his younger brother was nowhere in sight. When the smoke had cleared, he emerged, asking and calling out, "Samuel! Samuel! Samuel, where are you?" He fruitlessly searched for him after the chaotic aftermath, not knowing what I knew. Not knowing that his younger brother, his older brother, had been killed. After not fighting him and hearing no response, the young boy began to sob, and he fell to his knees in the middle of the square. I couldn't help it. I went to him, touched his heaving shoulder. He gaped at me, tears streaming down his face. "Your brother can't be with you anymore," I told him. More tears formed in Tommy's eyes as he looked up. I said, "Come, we must get to safety." And he followed me, but not before looking at what was once his older brother.
How tragic.
But it doesn't have to be. Don't you see, Adams? They can't keep this up alone. We must help them. The U.S., with all of its problems, can still help. They cannot keep up the good fight by themselves. Abigail, how can you stand to let people like Timothy lose their older brothers, lose their husbands, their sons? How can you let them die knowing that you could have helped? How could you, Adams? Damn it, how could you just sit here and do nothing?
Excuse me.
John. You have the right to pull us out of there when we have a guest. John, what do you think you're doing?
No. Revolution, that's all he's talked about since he's got back. Abigail, I'm worried if he doesn't get people to riot over the American aristocracy, he's just gonna lose it.
But his story.
That story? It's Bambi! Like he couldn't even come up with his own story, it was just Bambi!
John, it was a touching story.
It was plagiarized, it's a children's tale, you really gonna believe that crap?
It's not the plagiarism you're upset with, is it?
No, it is. It is. I just don't know him anymore. He's not the man he used to be.
You worry too much.
I worry just the right amount.
John, have some sympathy. Thomas, it seems, has seen his fair share of horrors, real or not. Being home in America, he's feeling lost, and I'm sure that he'll adapt, but you have to help him heal. He can't do it alone.
But how?
Show him around the country. Show him the ropes. Talk to him about government and democracy. Tonight at dinner would be a perfect time to remind him what he fought for.
Dinner?
Yes, you're dining with George and Alexander to honor Thomas's return home and his appointment as Secretary of State. Ringing any bells?
Yeah, that one. Where is it again?
George and Martha's?
Oh yeah, that's the George and Martha's. Got it. All right. And just one more question. What time?
8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got it. I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll go talk to Thomas and I'll remind him and then I'll go get ready.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
And wait. One more thing. Should I wear my blue short or?
Wear the green shirt Nabby got you for your birthday this year.
Okay.
It's in your dresser, 3rd drawer down.
Okay.
And the brown pants you wear to church.
All right.
And don't even think about wearing those hideous black boots.
Okay.
Wear your brown leather Oxfords
right,
with the matching
all right.
belt and brush your hair.
Okay.
John is a mess, but he's my mess. Do I think what? No. John may be vice president, but everybody knows I run the show. John won't admit it, but he knows. Without me, he is nothing.
And now, gentlemen, I would like to propose a toast to my dear friend Jefferson. He has been a great asset to me and this country, and I cannot wait to begin, to start governmental business. To Jefferson.
To Jefferson. Mr. President, I was wondering if you have given any time to consider what I brought about in discussion earlier.
And what would that discussion be about?
Nothing, Adams. Not now, Hamilton.
But, sir.
Not now.
I don't mean, excuse me, gentlemen, I don't mean to intrude, but I believe if this has anything to do with governmental issues, we should discuss it.
Jefferson, I suppose it depends on your definition of governmental issues.
Mr. Jefferson, I would like to know what you think of the current state of our economy.
Easy, I don't.
Oh, I see. Well, as I see it, I perceive it to be very weak, and I'd like to protect the monetary interests of our people by establishing a national treasury.
Oh?
Unfortunately, though my intentions are righteous and noble, well, I find myself caught in a spiderweb of red tape. Now, if you ask me, if we have the opportunity to assure the economic prosperity of every well-deserving man, then shouldn't we pursue every means to go after it?
Well...
Your hesitation is disturbing, Mr. Jefferson. You mean to convey that you don't care about our prosperity?
Hamilton!
No, it's fine. Mr. Hamilton, as you know, I just came back from revolutionary France, where the songs set fire in the people's hearts and people worry about such issues as personal rights and who's going to lead the government. We have no such issues. So excuse me if I find it funny that we're talking about such ridiculous issues as monetary debt.
Okay, well they might be displeasing to you, but they're troublesome nonetheless.
In comparison to such more important issues, I don't think we should be discussing it.
Well, there's no doubt it's useful, Mr. Jefferson. Allow me to explain. I believe the future of our nation depends on our prosperity in trade. And the only way we can prosper in trade is having the trade of other nations, and we can only have that through credit. We can only have credit through debt.
Mr. Hamilton, excuse me. Do you wish to say that you wish us to incur debt?
Not us, sir. The states. You see, I propose to Mr. Washington that we assume all of the debt of the states from the war.
I'm sorry, I just find it funny how you consider yourself a democratic man, but then you wish the southern man to incur debt with the north, and then the north with England, our enemy.
I'm sorry, an amateur's mistake in following logic, I'm afraid. The more power the government wields, the more responsibility it has to its people. Incurring their debt will help the prosperity, as well as cultivate our responsibility.
I'm curious, Mr. Hamilton. Do you realize that the great deal of our nation's money resides in the north? That if we allow people to incur debt, then the south, like I said before, the south will incur debt with the north, and then the north with Britain.
Thomas, I think you misjudge Mr. Hamilton's point of view. You see, in order to preserve this union, we must have a strong bond that unites the states together. a strong foundation, a centralized government.
Well, John, I beg to differ.
Of course you would.
Jefferson, I can assure you, we will not be denying the people's basic human liberties by centralizing power in the government. I'm simply saying that all of our energy and time should be put forth to keeping the states united, no matter what it means to take to do so. Certainly you have no objection to unity of the states, do you?
Of course not.
No, me neither. Well spoken, Adams.
Good evening, gentlemen. This has been lovely, but I have a cabinet meeting in which I have important issues to discuss. Excuse me, Adams.
Good evening, gentlemen.
You know, I lost the Delaware once. And I never told a lie, not once.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening. The cabinet meeting.
Honey, I'm home.
In the kitchen. You're home so soon. How was dinner?
Oh, fantastic.
How was it really?
Well, I guess first we started off with a nice Nicot salad that we dressed with ginger and the blood of the French. And then after that, Thomas really got on to us about joining this whole French Revolution thing. Dinner was roast beef that was marinated with Hamilton's salt towards Jefferson about this issue, and also, don't forget the National Bank. Then dessert was Washington basically telling me to go away because he had a very important cabinet meeting to attend.
John, darling.
I don't know anymore. I don't know how men like Hamilton, Jefferson, and Washington are meant to run this country. If these are the men that are founding this country, I might as well just move to Canada.
Dude, you must be patient. This nation of ours is still very young and temperamental. We're all still trying to figure everything out, you know. And we can't achieve peace without patience and kindness, two things we need to extend to everyone.
But, Abigail...
Everyone, John, including Washington, especially Washington. This is new to him too. I know it can be frustrating to wait around for everyone else to turn onto the road you've already reached the end of, but you mustn't get frustrated when everyone else isn't as smart or as quick as you are. Be patient. Your time will come, my dear. And when it does, I know you will flourish. And maybe when you're president, your name for the office will catch on. I would pay good money to see the entirety of the American people calling you His Rotundancy.
Next time on the Addams Family.
What is your name, young man?
I am Edward Charles Genet.
Is this guy